It is time yet again to blow the whistle. I'm your host, Ash Mack, and of course I'm calling out all of my HBCU lovers, especially if you love HBCU marching bands. So of course we got our BTW Blow the Whistle crew, and we're gonna make sure we discuss, criticize, analyze, and talk all rankings when it comes to these marching bands. So let's get our BTW crew here.
Hey, what's going on? What up? Coming off the heels of homecoming, so I'm excited.
And we got a newcomer today, T. Okay, since you're just joining us, number one, welcome. But you got to let us know what school, what program you're part of, what you currently do, and your affiliations and all.
Okay, so I'm T. I was a Black Fox in the Marching Storm marching band at the Prairie View A&M University. Currently, I own a lash business where I mentor other lash artists who are trying to grow their personal brands all over the country. And I'm here to talk about dance.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here, T. And shout out to you for your business adventures. Girl, hit me up. Send me a DM. I'm trying to get my lashes done too. And as we prepare for our next band event, we got to get to figuring out who will be crowned Band of the Year. So let's take a look at the current rankings for Division 2. All right, let's head over to Petersburg, Virginia, kicking things off with Virginia State, known as the Trojan Explosion. That name has always been problematic for years, but what do I know? I'm just a Spartan. So let's kick things off with Quan. Talk to me about their drumline.
Well, I think the Trojan Explosion is a really, really good band on the East Coast. I would say, and I would agree that y'all have a rivalry. Not being biased because y'all my friends, but I would go with Norfolk over V-State. However, I do appreciate that band program. I know Dr. Phillips, who's a mentor of mine, was over that program for years. You got to shout out Horsepower for what they've been over, the last 20 years, I would say, in regards to that tuba section. In regards to the percussion section, this year, from what I've seen, I think they're going through a rebuilding process. I know that they have a great percussion instructor in a great studio, Dr. Lamont Lawhorn, who is a former Prairie View alumnus as well. He did some time at North Carolina A&T that brought up Cold Steel to what there is today. But from what I've seen thus far, they're kind of going through like a semi-rebuilding phase. So I haven't seen them do anything that pushed the envelope per se, but I hope and wish them well. And I'm looking forward to seeing great things. But as of right now, they're not doing it for me. I would take MDFS or Cold Steel over them on the East Coast.
Okay, but hear me out. Let's talk about this. When it comes to their drumline and their percussion team, have we seen them be challenged? Have they excelled in any type of way this season or any previous seasons? What have you seen?
No, so y'all know that East Coast style, y'all had that go-go type deal. So I see that permeates through the East Coast, which is fine. But they're not pushing it past that, if that makes sense. Like they'll block up, play some cadences, do some things, but outside of the, I wouldn't want to say typical, but typical East Coast style of percussion, they're not really pushing. So that's why I would have to rank them number 3 or even number 4 compared to some of the drum lines on the East Coast.
Okay, sounds good. Well, you know what? We'll make sure to be on the lookout for them. Let's take things over to auxiliary. Portia, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to start with the color guard. So first and foremost, good choice of colors. They're giving pops. They're adding visual aspects to the music. So that's a good thing. Nice variety in the twirls and the movements that they're doing to add visual aspects to the music that is being presented by the band. Some things that I see that I would say need improvement are timeliness and coordination as a unit. They're not always in the same place at the same time. And I'm expecting more from a college level squad. I want to see tosses. I want to see tricks. I want to see things that are difficult, that push the squad. And I have not seen that in the things that I looked at this year. As far as their majorettes, they are really good at coordinating as a unit, being in the same place. I saw very few drops, so kudos to them on that. Routines really complement the music, and so I did see that in the footage that I watched of them. A few other things is that they would have like one person throughout their shows twirl 2 batons. I want to see the whole squad do that. Let's build those skill levels. Let's show what we know and get everybody on the same level to push the squad forward. So that's my feedback on the auxiliary as far as the color guard and majorettes.
And T, I think this would be perfect for you to chime in here. So let's talk about the dance lines.
I really love their uniform colors. A lot of dance teams go with like the safer colors, like the whites or the pick out the darker color that they have in their band. But like these orange leotards, like they are really attention grabbing and they're different and exciting to see. So I like their aesthetic. I think that they look nice. As far as cohesion goes is with dance routines. I think that also timing is a huge thing that they could maybe, put a little more love and attention into, just to make sure that everybody is together. When you're dancing, it's really easy to tell when somebody's off, especially when we're wearing white gloves, or when the hair is not choreographed together. Like when your head move, everybody ponytail needs to move. So that kind of thing. And also just some basic things that on the collegiate level, we shouldn't be talking about like point your toes and make sure that you're, pushing up in your plie so that you can get your leaps and things right. So I think it's just some little things to clean up for technicality, but overall, I like how they looking.
All right, let's take things over to OHIO. No, not that school. I'm talking about number 5, Central State, the Invincible Marching Marauders. Okay, let's talk about what we're seeing and do they deserve that spot? Portia, let's start things off with you. What do you see?
So great use of the field, they did a lot of changing of shapes. And I thought that was awesome because a lot of squads don't do that, especially smaller squads. I thought that was really dope. The dimensions and visual effect that they brought to the shows that I watched was really, really amazing. The energy they gave was crazy. Like they looked like they were having fun out there. And sometimes, I tell the Silks all the time, like if you're not excited, the crowd's not going to be excited. Don't be dry like toast. They were really, really excited about what they were doing. Flag alignment across the squad is something they need to work on, and making sure when they move that they keep the same tightness. I also saw that their feature routines were tighter than the drill, and I just wanted you to give every part of your performance some love. But I did see some really good things from them that I think that, if they just work on those few things, that they'll be a formidable color guard section. Like I really like some of the stuff that I saw.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll see more of that sometime sooner than later. Quan, let's take things over to percussion. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, a big shout out to Central State because they've rebuilt that program. And I don't want to say it seemed like it was overnight because as a fellow band director, nothing is overnight. So that's first of all. So big shout out to them for rebuilding that program. Again, I think as a rebuilding percussion section, they first have to establish their identity. And once they establish that, I think then they can push the envelope to say and proclaim what angle or approach in regards of percussive arts they're trying to reach. So right now, I just look at them as like they're the new kids on the block. Establish yourself, build your identity, and then you can go forth like that. But am I impressed by anything as of right now? No, because they're like a little fish in a big pond right now. Because with social media, we all know that everybody's competing with everybody. It's not like you're just stuck in this specific division. No, Central State Drum Section is competing with $1 Million Funk Squad. Central State is competing with Prairie View, Marching Storm Drumline. They're competing with everyone at this point on a global level. So right now, I pray, that they continue to build, continue to push, and create an identity for themselves.
Now, Jay, let's head over to you. When it comes to brass and winds, what are your thoughts right now when you see Central State?
So, first of all, I want to say this, and I guess I'm just going to continuously be the bad guy with this, right? But the truth of the matter is, I really think that the position that Central is in needs to be where Virginia State is in. Because to be quite honest, Central, as from a performing standpoint, sounds better to me. There's a little bit more clarity in what they have. When I listen to Virginia State, I listen to, especially when they're doing the drill, a lot of feet in the sound. I hear a lot of trumpets who, in my opinion, either using different, or obviously maybe using some different equipment. Some are overblowing. There's a sound of almost being flat. And then there's some overblowing in the euphonium section in the last drill that I heard them do. And when I listen to Central State, especially from their homecoming show, I just didn't hear those things. First, and the next thing, kudos to them for the growth that they have had, right? But here's one thing that I hear from Central that I tend to hear from a lot of smaller bands that tends to happen. Is people play the smartest kid in the classroom sometimes, which means that you have an arrangement that may be too advanced for smaller programs where you may have counter melodies where people are playing 16th note runs and so on and so forth. And then there may be, and you don't need all that. Sometimes you just need, melody, counter melody, and some chords, and you'll be just fine. But I think that sometimes we try to go a little too far. But ultimately, I think Central is actually doing a good job. But I also think that Central needs to be a little bit higher. And actually, I think Virginia State needs to move down.
Well, if we were to ever see it, maybe it sounds like Virginia State might be an even match for Central. Who knows? Okay. Well, we will, of course, see if they stay in that ranking. But in the meantime, we got to get to the schools that we know you want to talk about. Let's head over to Division I, number 4. We have the Jackson State University, Sonic Boom of the South. Jay, since we were just talking to you, let's go back to you. What are your thoughts when it comes to brass and winds? Talk to me.
So I'm gonna be that guy. Jackson State. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a J5 fan. I really enjoy J5. I enjoyed watching their homecoming with the drum majors coming back. All of that excites me, right? But I also think that that Jackson State, from a musical standpoint, is doing some things that are somewhat similar to what everybody else is doing, but they kind of have their own thing, their own style. I would also argue that it's probably a Mississippi way of doing things. So I think that they've taken kind of what this, and I don't want to name it this, but this Southern-esque sound, but they've kind of made it their own. And to be quite honest, in this particular year, as it comes to HBCU marching band, I think they're the most consistent, specifically in the SWAC. In the SWAC, I think they're the most consistent.
Regardless of what band program you're a part of, marched in, love, you got to have at least a little bit of love for Jackson State. Come on now. Like, one of our own band directors comes from Jackson State. Shout out to Miss Stephanie Sanders. But I guess the real question is, do they have love for us, for the MEAC?
They hate us. They hate us.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But here's something else that people have to love, though, right? The dance lines. You have to mention the J sets and the standard that they are setting and have been setting when it comes to what dance culture is today. T, talk to me about it.
I think that the J sets are very clean this year. I'm loving uniforms. I'm loving energy. I like their stand routines, and I'm not a bucking girl. I'm not a fan of bucking, but the J sets really they still make it clean, and it doesn't make me want to cringe when I'm looking at it. So they are exciting to watch this season.
Quan, what are your thoughts when it comes to percussion? What are we seeing right now when it comes to Jackson State?
First of all, big shout out to Warren Thunder. My drum instructor from high school is actually the drum instructor at Warren Thunder. So I've always been a fan of J State's percussion section. I think since, and I know people are gonna be like, nah, but ever since around, I would say 2011-ish, they've been one of the most consistent SWAC drum sections overall, period. They funky, they groovy. They at the end of the day, their parts to the songs, like that, they add that color to arrangements and cadences. I mean, they're one of the most emulated drum sections in the South as of right now. Period. Big shout out to the guy that came back in the blue suit for homecoming. You know what I'm saying? They used to twirl with the flag. She ain't gonna say it, I'm gonna say it. Big shout out to Big Homie.
Didn't he have lights on the joints?
Yeah,
At
it
one
was.
point,
Yeah.
at one point,
They were
and
like little flashlight daddies.
and big shout out to what's the director of bands, Doctor I'm looking
Taylor?
at him. No, not
No.
Taylor.
Why'd I say? I'm thinking Doc Taylor.
Doctor start with an R. I forgot it. But the headband director for J State, I'm drawing a blank, but the headband director for J State, he stepped out because he was a drum major and performed the halftime show with him. So yeah, so that's all I'm saying.
Killed it. He
So,
killed it.
And if we're gonna be honest, category 5 for PV, they really be cutting up. So big shout out to them, bro. I'm sorry. Stop sleeping on the storm, bro.
So let me ask you this: is this bias? Is this bias here?
No, it's just fact. It's fact.
I feel like it's a little bit biased,
bro. Like I don't want to, mess up the rankings because I know we got, things to talk about. But let me just say this: number one, people gonna stop sleeping on the Storm, and people gonna stop sleeping on Alabama State. Real talk, because the Stingettes is stinging. That's number one.
I
Number
agree.
two,
I agree.
and then number two, them arrangements that they've been having by Erica Badu is killing a lot of people. But that's for another time and another show. So we're gonna talk about that later.
All right, y'all, we got to reel everyone back in, okay? I hate to cut you off, but we do got to get to our next band for Division 1, which is Bethune-Cookman Marching Wildcats, who are ranked at number 3. I wanted to go to this school so bad, okay? Because who doesn't want to play, perform, and sing? Let's go Wildcats! Jay, what are your thoughts when it comes to brass and winds?
I've said this on many situations, and I'm just going to continue to say this. You can disagree with me if you want to. You can say whatever it is that you want to, but here's the truth. The truth of the matter is Bethune has the best sounding band in HBCU. Now, however they get there, that's, whatever it is, everybody's going to have their thought process. Well, they play the same thing. Well, they perfected what they do, right? It just is what it is. They're the best sounding band in HBCU. Now, do they crank up all the time? No. But musicality wise, they're top notch on it. I mean, now some of the arrangements are very simplistic. I'm not going to take that out of the category. But at the end of the day, best sounding band in HBCU.
Okay, there might have been a question about what they play or how deep their book is, but I mean, Quan, what are your thoughts about this when it comes to percussion?
There's not many bands that will out march, outplay, and out quote unquote sound Bethune-Cookman. But if you've been playing Ice Cream Man for 20 years, it's supposed to sound that good.
No, but here's the argument. Here's the argument with that. Yes, you can talk about Ice Cream.
Arrangements in 20 years,
You
Luke.
can talk about Ice Cream Man all you want. So what you're saying is anything other than Ice Cream Man sounds bad. Field Show sounds bad.
I didn't say that.
When they play new
Now you're
music
being
every year,
disingenuous, bro. Listen to what I said.
you named one song and then you try to compare it to their sound.
Okay, so let's break it down real quick for the audience. Number one, their drill song is Wildcats. They do that every time. So we know that.
That's their spirit song.
So
it's no different than Norfolk playing Behold.
Okay, so they do that every game, but they don't drill on that y'all don't drill on Behold.
But right? What I'm saying is there's no difference to that. That's their spirit song. That's okay, like Jackson playing Get Ready. Whoa. That's like Jackson playing Get Ready, right? Uh-huh. That's like PV playing ET. So it's the same thing.
No, but okay, so they play Wildcat, they play Ice Cream Man. Okay.
They don't play it on the field.
They play it in the stand. So what you have? Tell me in 20 years.
Keep going.
But tell me this: in 10 years, what new arrangements have they had other than international player, ASAP? Tell me something else. Have they played in the stands that's been new?
Their field show music is typically new music, and their dance routine music. They ain't playing Ice Cream. They ain't playing Ice Cream Man for dance routine.
That's like 3 songs like per.
But the point that I'm trying to make is, look, I'm gonna use this argument right here. As a graduate of Norfolk State University, when I was there, we did not play new music in the stands, but you couldn't out drill us and you couldn't out music us.
But
we play new music on the field though. We play new music on the field though.
Didn't y'all evolve?
You say what?
Have y'all evolved since then?
Yes, I would say, yeah.
So
in the stands we've gotten better. I'll put it that way. But from the field perspective, we still cold.
So no, and I'm not disagreeing on the field show. We just stated drilling, musicality, and sound. But in the stands, they're boring. And in today's society of HBCU culture, what matters the most to you? Now, I don't know, I don't like it, but what matters the most?
But then again, here we go. If you don't like it, and if you don't agree with the thought process of today's HBCU culture, we're talking about what you agree on and what you think about. That's what we're talking about today.
I don't. As the masses, we know for a fact the stands weighs more. Yes or
I
no?
disagree. I disagree with that.
Yeah, because we don't
I
agree with
disagree
the
with that.
stands. We don't agree with the stand. But I tell you this much: you pull up a YouTube clip right now of a drill, and then the stand song. What's gonna have the most views?
Unfortunately, it's going to be the stands. Unfortunately.
That's my whole point. So if you playing 4 different songs and you can't compete in the fifth quarter, then what you doing?
But if we talking about the overall aspect of the band, we talking about overall aspect of Bethune. And the question was,
And nobody can compete with
sound
that.
and musicality. The question was sound and musicality.
Okay, Quan, Jay, you know what? Regardless if we're in the field or we're in the stands, guess what we still need? Auxiliary. Portia, let's talk about the flags. What are you seeing right now?
Their features were tight. The variety of the twirls and the levels that they added visually, I really like those. Tosses in the routines that complemented and added visual representation to the music, I thought were top tier. The amount of twirling that they are doing in those shows, I have to shout that out. Like, they don't twirl, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, in whatever they do initially, but from once they get into the actual drill, almost to the end, they are twirling. So I do want to shout that out. I don't know why this may not be something that's their choice. I don't know why they're in the back of that field the entire time. And I do not know why they do not twirl in whatever the initial sound is coming out of those horns, because I think it would take their field shows to the next level. They did have a few timing issues, especially while moving, and their recovery time frames. On a college level, if you mess up with a 6-foot pole in your hand, I need you 2 counts or less to get back right. And it was taking a few times a little bit too long. So yeah, those are the things that I saw. But as far as the amount of twirling and the visuals, good job.
Perfect. And T, you know I got to ask you about 14K. Okay, what are your thoughts right now when it comes to Bethune-Cookman?
I think they've been very consistent with their style. I'm not a huge fan because again, I'm not really into the booking, but
is there anything that you would like to see them improve on?
I think if you're going to dance a certain way, then uniforms should complement the style of dancing that you're doing. I mean, yeah, we're women and material matters. So if we're going to be, kind of low-key scrubbing the ground, at least have attire that will support that kind of movement so that the dancing still looks some kind of tasteful. As far as like stand routines go, not a fan. I don't really know what and what not to say.
See, this is why I talk to y'all. I always look forward to all of your rankings between Division 1 and Division 2. Matter of fact, if you're at home and want to chime in, make sure to use the hashtag BTWCrew, BTW Halftime, and BTW with us. That's Instagram. So tag us, join the conversation, send us a DM and more. And BTW crew, I'm going to excuse you right now so you can go ahead and tally up your final rankings. And while you do that, we're going to get into our band's highlight, North Carolina Central University Sound Machine Marching Band. North Carolina College at Durham's first marching band was organized by Dr. Stephen Junis Wright during the 1938 through 1939 academic school year. The first band is believed to have only included about 25 students. Now, prior to Wright's formal organization of a band at North Carolina College, Miss Carolyn Glover had organized ensembles every year beginning in 1933. You see, it's always a woman behind the scenes making everything happen. Now, this group consisted of students who owned their instruments and were music lovers. They usually played for receptions and campus cultural programs and events. Aside from their halftime performances at all of the college's football games and other campus events, the band made many outside appearances, including the 1960 North Carolina governor's inauguration and the much talked about performance on October 29th, 1961, before more than 56,000 fans during the halftime of the New York Giants Dallas Cowboys game at Yankee Stadium. Their success continued with multiple invitations to the Honda Battle of the Band Showcase in Atlanta, Georgia, with 6 appearances, and the band was invited to march in the 122nd Rose Parade in Pasadena, California on January 1st, 2011. Shout out to the NCCU Sound Machine Marching Band. Now let's get back to the Blow the Whistle crew and get these final rankings. Can I get a drum roll, please?
Here you go with this trash roll. Oh, okay, you know what I'm saying.
And here you have our current blow the whistle rankings of the bands discussed today. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Well, you know what? Let us know. Hit us up at Blow the Whistle Crew, BTW with us, hashtag HBCU Bands, as well as hashtag BTW Crew. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more updates as we lead up to crowning who will be Band of the Year. Thank you for tuning in to Blow the Whistle, because you know, like I know, halftime is game time. Bye, everyone.